Good morning, everybody. You're tuned to Computers 2K now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm Amnon, your host for the next couple of hours, along with Gal.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Spence is already in Alaska. And Nick has had plans, so he probably won't be joining us. Our number is 919-518-9773, Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And today's show is made possible by vMix Software and is sponsored by Tom Sinclair of Live Streaming Gear. Man, this week, as far as news, it's been really, really slow. Everything.
Well, depends on the news, right?
Well, tech news. Yeah, I should say tech news. You're right. Yeah, everything is Ukraine this and Ukraine that, and I mean it's fine. I'm glad to see. I mean, so far the tech world is doing a lot more to help Ukraine than the administration here or anywhere, as far as I know. I don't know if any governments that are doing. But I don't follow. I'll be the first one to say I don't follow the news. I don't know who's helping who or what, but it seems like some of the tech industry leaders are doing things that are actually hurting Russia, and that's amazing that we got to this. I mean, cyber war is cyber war.
Yeah, indeed. I'm like you, so I'm clueless as well for the details.
Yeah.
It's just I find that watching the news cycle takes such a toll on my mental capacities.
Absolutely.
That I'd rather be away from it.
Yep.
Is it sticking my head in the sand? Probably. But I can't affect it in any way personally, so I'd rather not be involved. Yeah.
I had a conversation about this yesterday, and I was asked, so are you following what's going on? I said, no. I mean, very, very little. Oh, I can't stop watching it. I said, well, you see, that's the problem. Said, yeah,
Exactly.
but you need to know what's going on. I said, why? If I watch it, is it going to change something? The only thing it's going to change is my, like you say, mental capacity. And
Yeah.
I've got better things to do. I don't want to worry about it because I cannot change things. And
Exactly.
and I'd rather keep on being productive at what I'm doing instead of putting a damper on it. It's fine. Whatever happens, happens. It'll go through its cycle. Yeah, but look, he's threatening with nuclear. I said, look, there's nothing we can do about that either. I mean, the guy is crazy. And if he's going to decide he's going to bomb us, it's going to bomb us. I mean, there's nothing we can do. And in that case, sticking your head in the sand may save you. But anyway, yeah. So most of the week, I mean, most of the news, tech news, are involving how this company did that, and that company did this, and how the IT army is doing this, and it's an interesting situation out there. So, but I do have some stories. But before that, I mean, let's catch up on what happened. I mean, things that happened with me. I had one situation that Gal fixed yesterday with Plex. I mean, I rebooted and I did the server and I was trying all kind of different, nothing. I could not see live TV, off the air TV through Plex. So finally sent Gal a message and he went and he said, do this, do this, do this, and nothing worked. And he got frustrated. You did, I could tell. And then sent me a message that he found a tweet about the fact that there was a problem with the Plex app
Yeah, on the
release. What?
on the Roku.
Yeah, on the Roku.
Yeah,
And
and I heard from a friend it might have affected the Samsung one as well.
oh boy.
Real strange.
So he had the only thing that was left to do, and like the person on that post said, is remove the app and reinstall the app, and it reinstalled the new one, and everything is working. So again, thank you, God.
Yeah, always.
And apparently, there was a big update um, last week to the web servers, our web servers with PHP and with a lot of other modules on it. And Ron always does it on the weekend in the middle of the night. So if something happens, it doesn't affect much. Uh, it works one way, but the other way, it actually, I wouldn't say hurts, but there were something broke down. And he knew, he said, if something breaks, then let me know. And it's probably a quick fix. And there were two things that didn't work. For instance, the webmail, you couldn't log in. So he fixed it. And I told the customer, I said, it's working. And about 10 minutes later, I got an email saying, well, yeah, I can log in now. But when I go to the inbox, it tells me internal server error and there's no email there. So called Ron. He looked at his, oh, son of a, and he installed another module that he needed to install, and that fixed that. And then there was a website, an old website with PHP that didn't work, and that took him some time, but he got it working. And hopefully tomorrow morning, I don't get barraged with customers who are having problems with their websites. I went and checked whatever I could check, and everything seems to be working. But it's amazing sometimes when things change, how it affects different things in different ways. And
Yeah.
like I said, hopefully everything will work. Okay, so that was kind of a touch and go Saturday.
What webmail
Round
product are you using?
round cube,
Roundcube?
yeah, round cube. Um, it's one that a lot of ISPs use, so it's well supported. And it was just a PHP module. He said, "Amnon, it's got nothing to do with Roundcube. It's something Roundcube is using." Sure enough, And, but that was my weekend as far as putting out fires, kind of, so to speak. But the fire
Well,
that what?
no, I mean, yeah, putting out fires, that's like
Yeah,
living in IT, right?
yeah. That's nothing you can do about it. You have to, every now and then you run against it, and as long as it works, it's fine. And if it was a big problem, at least like Ron was saying, on the weekend, I always learn from him. Make changes to domains, make it on the weekend. Updates, do it on the weekend. So it doesn't it affects the least number of people out there. Anyway, do you I've never realized that I was my browser on the phone was using something called data saving feature. Like Chrome is a data saving.
Yeah, I know there's something there. It's just,
Yes, so
it's all
Google
about loading the images
it's to
late and stuff like that.
it's yeah, no, it's to save on your data so you
Yeah.
don't use as much. I mean, in the early days when we were doing the show, I decided, okay, we're not going to do it with high bit rate and all that because it eats data like crazy. And back, 10 years ago, it wasn't like today when you had a bunch of data. So it was important back then. Uh, but Google now on the forum, the support manager announced that mobile Chrome 100 will do away with the browser set data saving feature. It's due to make its way to the stable channel on March 29. The mode will also stop working on previous versions of the browser from that day. Besides
Yeah,
several
it's because it's based on servers. It's because it's based on Google servers. It's routing the communication through Google servers, and you're getting reduced, not necessarily compressed, but the reduced version of the website.
oh,
Yeah,
it says that
that's why it'll
be-
stop.
besides several improvements to Chrome over the years to reduce data usage and improve page load time, Google has also seen mobile data costs decrease in many countries. Thus, it believes the data saving mode is no longer relevant in today's world. In general, that's right, but there's still a lot of people that are limited, especially people on Verizon. Unless you pay a bunch, you don't have unlimited. You have 4 gig, you have 2 gig. And I don't know. Maybe in the last year they changed that, but
Yeah, I'm guessing. What they're saying is, if you didn't buy a large data plan,
right,
right, then you're probably not using the phone for web. So
true.
this won't affect you big time. Um, and again, yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah, we'll see
If
what
there's
happens.
gonna be some sort of uproar of, hey, right, you're screwing the little guy again or something. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll
Doesn't
have to
sound.
wait and see.
Besides, I really think Chrome is not the only option.
Oh,
So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah. It won't
Uh,
affect me, for example, right? I'm not using Chrome, so. But then again, I'm not using a very limited data plan either. I'm using a rather large one. So
so you introduced me to the Raspberry Pi,
mm.
and I mean I'm not doing much with it anyway. But this article here. kind of caught my eye. Banana Pi. You know about that?
Nope.
Banana Pi has revealed a new board resembling the Raspberry Pi computer Module 3, according to Tom's Hardware. It features a powerful 8-core processor, up to 8 gig of RAM, 32 gig eMMC, and additional features like ports will require you to connect to a carrier board, which, in most of them you do. But what and I don't know what is do you know off the top of your head what's the limit with processor on the Raspberry Pi?
I think right now the Raspberry Pi is a 4-core, but I might be
Okay.
wrong. I haven't touched Raspberry Pis in a while. I can check quickly.
But yeah, that's called Banana Pi, and I remember the article said that the prices are comparable. And I was trying to figure out if it's the same company, but
No, it's not. That much
okay.
I can say.
Banana Pi.
But there's a lot of iterations. Maybe it is from the same company.
I don't know. It sounded from the story. It sounded like it was, but I couldn't see for sure.
Well, the Banana Pi has 8 cores, while the Raspberry Pi 3 has 4 cores.
Okay.
Looks like
what about the Raspberry 4?
That's what I'm unclear. That's why let's see if Wikipedia, Banana Pi, Wikipedia. Let's see. Well, there's definitely a page. Banana Pi. It's by the Chinese company Shenzhen.
Oh. Okay. Shenzhen is a city.
Well, it's also the name of, it's Shenzhen Sinovoip.
Okay.
And Raspberry Pi is a UK
Okay.
foundation. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it makes things interesting. Any way you look at it.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. So the Raspberry Pi 4 is a quad core. And so the Banana Pi is basically a board that gives you it looks like they are competing for the same audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably a manufacturing power which is larger. They've been around for a while. There's on the Wikipedia page, there are like 20 different models. So it has been around. And at first, I don't think it's the one that the news cycle you've hit is about. But at first, it seems like the Banana Pi in constructions is very, very similar to the Raspberry Pi, as you know, a board with HDMI out and Ethernet and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they're probably targeting the same audience of hobbyists and everybody that wants to create a multi-core, multi-node solution for the cheap. They can use these boards. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, competition is good.
Absolutely. So. The user always wins. And
Either that, or he gets beat from both sides. It's like,
yeah. Um, Going back to Ukraine, SpaceX CEO Elon Musk warned that Starlink user terminals in Ukraine could be targeted by Russia and advised users to take precautions. That's coming from Ars Technica. Important warning: Starlink is the only non Russian communication system still working in some parts of Ukraine. So, probability of being targeted is high. Please use with caution, he tweeted. Uh, when asked for specific advice, he said people in Ukraine should turn Starlink on only when it's needed. Place the antenna as far away from people as possible,
yeah,
and place light camouflage over the antenna to avoid visual detection.
right. Because I mean, if you have paratroopers going around,
And they
they're
see it.
probably told to look for the
Mhm.
logo, look for any form of communication, because war is also about controlling data and media.
Yep.
So yeah,
And he said a
it's
thin.
like World War II movies and radios, right? It's the same idea.
Well, that's another thing that started with the UK. Britain is reviving the shortwave service of BBC to,
Mm.
and really this nobody can you can't stop it unless you have a real
No,
huge.
you can try to jam, but
Yeah, but you
yeah,
have it's next to impossible also
yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah. So see, but anyway, and he says place light camouflage, a thin layer of spray paint would work if there are no metal particles in the paint.
In the spray, yeah,
Yeah.
in paint.
One Twitter user asked Musk if Starlink could face a cyber attack from Russia similar to the one that affected Viasat satellite service. Musk responded, almost all Viasat Ukraine user terminals were rendered permanently unusable by a Russian cyber attack on day of the invasion. So, yes, as previously reported, Ukraine Vice Prime Minister asked Musk to activate Starlink in Ukraine shortly after Russia's invasion of the country disrupted internet service. Musk responded in the affirmative, and 2 days later, a photo of a truck full of newly arrived Starlink terminals was tweeted. And again, I don't understand why they make such a. I mean, this is like a magnet for problems. Keep it low.
What, the publicity?
Yeah,
Uh, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I
it
there are two
goes in
sides.
so many ways.
Yeah.
It's publicity.
Yeah. It's not clear exactly how many Starlink terminals are available in Ukraine, but the tweet to Musk is, "We will keep you posted as we roll out more Starlinks across the country." In another tweet, he said that SpaceX reprioritized to cyber defense and overcoming signal jamming will cause slight delays in Starship and Starlink version 2. So, because they are working in some kind of quality of service, so to speak, on the traffic, it may be a little bit slower, which it's fine, and nothing wrong with that. Make sure it's better. I still didn't see or know anybody that has it. I know we talked about it, but in this case, it's great. that such a thing is available, and it's even if Russia decided, okay, yeah, we're going to take out the satellites or whatever, there are hundreds of them, and
Yeah,
again,
it's an interesting. I mean, this is probably the first time where a corporation, right, takes such a massive role in a political conflict like this.
right.
This is like full out war with everything that with casualties and all that, and there's a corporation that takes a stand here. It's an interesting.
Yeah. And obviously, Google could not go with their balloons over there because that will be easily disrupted.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Not only that, I mean, it seems like Starlink has already been deployed, right? So it's not like
Right.
it was targeting the Eastern European area already, and it was just about switching it on, or like
giving it priority,
giving it priority, right? It's just changing the timetables a bit, but it's not like the deployment had to be done specifically. So, yeah, interesting.
Yeah. We'll see how that turns, and that's what I was saying. It's nice to see that some tech companies are what they're doing to aid the victims. Let's quote. I mean, it's obvious.
But look, we're talking about this, right? And there's always another side to the story.
Yeah.
And what bothers me is, okay, so Starlink will work, but I mean, we know even here in the States, the deployment is really, really sparse, right?
Right.
It's pricey. I'm guessing Elon Musk isn't doing it for free. So it's like, who will eventually have access to it? It's not as if there is somebody that's going to provide everyone access. So it's important. It is it's important as food supplies and as recognition and news coverage. But is it important that not just those who can afford it or can have access to it, who will have access to it? Is it going to be organizations that are active, that are activist, or just people who just have the power to control these? So it's always a complex, right? It can become a weapon as much as can become an aid. So always be cautious.
Yeah,
and on top of everything, Elon Musk controls, right? There's still this American corporation that controls the switch,
right?
Which is also interesting, right? Yeah. How long will it be until we hear that some Russian forces got control of 2 or 3 stations, right, and are using it for their benefits, right? And now, I mean, it goes in all directions. That's what I'm saying.
I sure hope that just like cable boxes, that those boxes can be controlled and switched off or on.
I'm pretty sure they
remotely.
can. I mean, but you need to have a subscription in order to use it. They can cut off a subscription, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, well, it's interesting. I mean, there's something to look forward to see how things work. I never thought about that. Yeah, what if they grab it? I mean, but you don't know who's using it and how they're using it until sometimes after it happens. So yeah,
right, and then we'll have and then we'll have a news article saying Russian forces have got control of 10 boxes, but Elon Musk, right? They have full visibility into their traffic or something, and then all hell breaks loose because everybody in the US who has Starlink will understand that they have access. So you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that can be a backfire.
Yeah. So it's not a simple, oh, here, take some. Right?
Yeah.
It's a lot more complex than that.
And another story about this is that Microsoft is suspending all new sales of products and services in Russia and is halting many aspects of its business in the country to honor US, UK, and EU sanctions. The move comes days after Microsoft restricted Russian state media across its platforms and after Ukraine Vice Prime Minister called on the company to block Russian Xbox accounts. Microsoft saw the withdrawal as virtually necessary. Concrete steps like this would have the most impact, according to company president Brad Smith. And there will be additional steps as the Ukraine situation develops. So, I mean, I
Can
don't
they
know.
stop all of their crypto mining machines?
They're not going to sell Windows 11 anymore, Windows 10. So people are going to have to just copy. Um, it's like there may be some things that we're not aware of, but it's mainly I see it as a psychological thing.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah,
marketing.
yeah,
It's a marketing war and on top of the actual war.
right.
It's
Yeah, I mean, why did they ask him to block Xbox so kids could not play? You know, it's a little bit.
well, it's not,
I
it's
don't know. There was some kind of conflicting stories about Amazon, or Amazon uh, stores, brick and mortar. On the one side, they said that they opened a cashierless store now in I can't remember where it was. And on the other side here, it says Amazon physical retail business is suffering a major blow as the company last week confirmed it will close 68 brick and mortar retail stores across the US and UK. This includes its Amazon bookstore, its pop-up shops in various markets, and its 4-star stores where customers could shop popular and highly rated products across Amazon.com.
yeah. There's one in Raleigh in the mall.
Really? Have
Yeah,
you
I
been?
went. We went there. We went to the mall one evening, like a month ago, 2 months ago,
Uh-huh.
and saw an Amazon store. Right, it was surprisingly, and you walk in, and you basically, it's very similar to just browsing a random search on Amazon. It's like
Huh.
there's a lot of products all around. You can buy them there at the cashier. Uh, Makes zero sense to me. In thinking in the grand scheme of
Thanks.
their business viability doesn't make any sense at all. So hearing that they are closing it makes sense in a way.
Yeah, but it's again psychologically and stock wise, that's bad.
You know, yeah, you know what that store resembles the most? Remember those stores where they sell as seen on TV stuff?
Yeah.
That's how that store feels. Just a bit poshier, right?
Hmm.
Like like a bit more design went
And the
into it.
prices.
The same, exactly the same.
Huh. Well, anyway, the retailer, which began as an online bookseller, launched its first physical bookstore in Seattle back in 2015, then steadily expanded its brick and mortar footprint to include more locations across the U.S. and abroad, including in U.S. states like Arizona, California, Colorado, D.C., Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Jersey, New York, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas, and of course, its home state of Washington. They didn't mention anything about North Carolina.
So,
No. I, w- I got a TikTok video from somebody, and it's that girl that says, "Now you all know that I'm from New York originally, but now I live in North Carolina," and it's unbelievable. There's parking everywhere. There are no meters. You just go and park, and that's it. People are so nice. They ask you how you doing. I mean, I'm shortening it big time. He said, and traffic is moving. You don't just sit on the highway; it moves.
yeah.
That's North Carolina, and like
Yep.
I can't remember who said it the other day. It said, yeah, and all those people that are doing all these short videos about North Carolina, and this one guy that always ends up with, and we're full, so don't come.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there. That's kind of. It's too bad that they're not making it. And
I
I
don't
thought there
know.
was
I don't.
supposed to be some stores that they would sell stuff that was returned, open boxes for cheaper or whatever.
Yeah, you had a news article about that.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
I guess
I don't
these are
know.
not the stores that we're
These
talking
are
about.
not the stores they're
Yeah,
talking about now.
yeah. And it seems like more and more companies are big companies are asking their employees to come back to the office. Not asking, mandating. So, for instance, Apple has set an April 11th deadline for corporate employees in the U.S. to return to offices like Apple Park, according to Bloomberg. And Mac Rumors are reporting this that Apple is planning for a hybrid in office and at home work schedule going forward. The report states that Apple employees will be required to work from the office at least 1 day per week by April 11th, at least 2 days per week by May 2nd, and at least 3 days per week by May 23rd. Those 3 days would be Mondays, Tuesday, and Thursday, with most employees having the option to work remotely on Wednesdays and Fridays. And they, in their announcement, say, for many of you, I know that returning to the office represents a long awaited milestone and a positive sign that we can engage more fully with the colleagues who play such an important role in our lives. For others, it may also be an unsettling change. Apple corporate employees have largely been working from home since the start of the pandemic. Apple executives have routinely made it clear that employees would eventually need to return to the office once it is safer to do so, despite some employees' objections. Apple's decisions came just a few days after Google said that its employees would need to return to offices starting April 4th. So, when did you go to the office since the
Uh,
beginning of the pandemic?
about a year ago, so that all started. But again, the offices are open,
Yeah.
but
It
nobody's
wasn't.
coming.
Oh, so you
Like
going
very few.
because you just feel like going there. It's not that
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, yeah.
just think, "Oh,
And they're mostly empty.
what a shame."
In a way, yeah. I mean, look,
It
I'm not going to the office mostly out of a mixture. One, there's an inconvenience. We are right now, specifically, like this past few months, we're just with a single car, right? And and uh, and that means we need there's an extra step of logistics. It's not
yeah,
impossible or in any way, but there's an extra step of logistics in planning. Who gets the car that day? And if I can work from home, it's a lot easier.
sure.
My home setup for working is much more, for me specifically, much more convenient than in the office. So there's all of these, and plus I do not have an immediate team. Nobody in my um, I do not have a team that I either manage or that I work under that can be physically next to me in the office.
Mhm.
So I work with a lot of people that I know, colleagues and all that, but they're from other teams, and my interaction with them is on a pure social level than a functional level, right? So going to the office for me is more um, like a bonus, right? So
It
I get something from it, but it's not work. It's not specifically work related. It is in a workaround way. It's work related because I meet people who eventually I will work with, and I can discuss work. But uh, it's mostly social for me, specifically, right?
Mhm.
I know I'm unique in this, but when you talk about other teams, there are very similar parallels there. Um, and when you factor in commute, right, into it, some people, even before the pandemic, had a 45 minutes to an hour and a half commute.
Right.
Taking that out of the day, right, is fantastic for them. So as long as they have a good setup at home, they can focus on their work. Having the option of working from home is a no-brainer for those. And suddenly, yeah, insisting on going back to the offices is definitely going to be a slap in the face for them. So I can see both sides. I understand it's not going to be as clear cut. I mean, from the article, it sounds like Apple are not only saying you can come, you should come 1 day, 2 days, or 3 days a week to the office, is like specific days,
Mhm.
uh, which in a way makes sense. If everybody's in the office at the same day, then you have work at the office by everyone, right?
Right.
If you say, okay, you can come 1 day a week, how do you um, how do you make it work so that day is productive, right? That you get everyone that they can meet. So it's a complex it's a complex situation. When these companies said everybody can work from home, it was a very easy decision. It required some logistics for those who didn't have a home setup, but once that home setup was established, um, going back from that, they are going, no matter what they do, they are going to uh, they're going to act like the bad parent,
Yeah,
right? It,
they're gonna
yeah,
encounter resistance for
yeah.
sure,
No
and
matter what they do, they
yeah.
are going to mess up, and um, I'm guessing that's why the news is so focused on it. They're waiting to see the where everything is going to mess up, and what type of angry people it's going to generate, because those are the most fun to report on, right? even though it's the saddest situations there are. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's not like people didn't know that that day will come,
No,
but
no way.
it's hard to swallow. And you know, a lot of people made major changes to their home in order to be able to work from home, and that's going to hurt for
Yeah.
sure, absolutely. But if you keep your job, then you do what the boss says.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, everybody has a choice. You know, they don't have to go back to the office. Nobody has to go back to the office.
No, there's a
Yep.
lot of moving around.
Yep.
There are quite a few companies who, from the get go, are hiring remote, right? Competing for the same employees that
Mhm.
will now need to go back to on campus. So it's yeah, it is. There's nothing is settled yet, right? Nobody. I mean, we've been talking about working from home versus working working remotely versus working in the office, even before the
Even
pandemic,
before, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yahoo with their flip flop, right? They had a year or two where it was everybody worked remote, and then everybody must come to the office. It was a mess, and other companies allowing 20% working from home, etc. This nobody has an answer of saying this is perfect because there is no single solution that is perfect. Every person needs a different solution. And I think only the companies that will show flexibility, uh, that will show that they care about the employee and their ability to do their work more than where they do the work or how long they do their work, etc. Only those are the ones who will thrive, right? So
Sure.
we're just getting a huge everybody's going to get a huge kick in the ass and it'll be interesting.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how it develops. Do you have a Fitbit?
No, I use a smartphone, a smartwatch, but
Fitbit
I've
has
never, I've never touched Fitbit because of their subscription. I didn't want it.
oh, I don't know, and I never had one either. But it says that Fitbit has announced a voluntary recall of its Ionic smartwatch. This is coming from Newsweek. Amid more than 170 reports that the battery has overheated, causing more than 100 reports of burn injuries.
Oof.
The Ionic smartwatch was first introduced in 2017, and the company stopped producing it in 2020. When worn, the smartwatch tracks activity, heart rate, and sleep. According to the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission, 1 million of the watches were sold in the U.S., while a further 693,000 were sold internationally. So they hit 100. I mean, they are recalling it, even though they stopped making them, producing them in 2020, which is, nice. And hopefully they'll change the battery and what?
I mean, I get the recall.
But
It just sounds they waited for 100 burn victims,
yeah,
right? And I wonder what
170.
type of burn. It's still a very small um, apparatus on
Yeah,
your hand.
right.
How? I mean, what it did it hit while on the hand, or was it just hot when you picked it up?
Put or when you
Yeah.
unplugged it from being charged and put it on.
But whatever it is, anybody who bought it and uh, will get $300 back. That's
is that
that's
what they
good.
say?
That's what I'm seeing here on a
Okay, I
USA
didn't.
Today site.
Okay,
They will give you a prepaid packaging to allow you to return the watch, and then you will get a $299 refund. For more on this story, if you're worried you might have this watch, and well, that's just Tech USA Today blurb.
oh,
But yeah, $299. That's probably how much it cost when
mm-hmm.
when people paid for it. If you bought it on a sale, this is great. If you bought it on a sale and it never burned your hand, right?
Yeah,
I mean, we all know how
and
recalls
especially,
work,
I mean, I
right?
tell you who's going to be the most beneficial. Those that bought it, and after 2 3 weeks, they say, "Okay,
Yeah,
it's fine," and it's sitting
yeah, but
somewhere.
they probably don't follow the tech news, so they need to be like,
Yeah,
somebody needs to tell them. If you know somebody
right.
with a Fitbit,
Yeah,
Ionic smartwatch, let them know.
yeah. Um, the NSA released a new report that gives all organizations the most current advice on how to protect their IT network infrastructures from cyber attacks. Cybersecurity Technical Re- Report Network Infrastructure Security Guidance is available freely for all network admins and CIOs to bolster the network from state sponsored and criminal cyber attacks. So you need to go to the NSA and find that report. It's called Cybersecurity Technical Report, CTR, Network Infrastructure Security Guidance. The report covers network design, device passwords and password management, remote logging and administration, security updates, key exchange algorithms, and important protocols such as Network Time Protocol, SSH, HTTP, and SNMP. So it's not bad, anybody who's a system administrator, even for your network at home. I mean, I don't know how they said it's available uh
It's a
to
PDF. It's a 44 pages PDF.
yeah, and everybody can learn from it because there's some things that are basic, you know.
Yeah. I mean, one one good thing that comes out of it, it creates um, it creates a shared vocabulary that
Mhm.
everybody can discuss and agree upon, right? When they're discussing network components. I haven't read it, so I'm definitely going to, just to see what the current state is. I just hope that this coming from uh, a government agency um, is not is up to date, right? That's what I just hope, compared to the technologies that are out there and are relevant, that the guidance is correct and not pointing to something archaic. But I guess that's not the case, because otherwise the news cycle will be filled with that.
True,
Um,
true.
so I'll definitely take a look at it. Maybe we can talk about it next week
Yeah,
if I get a chance to actually read through all of it.
but it's a positive thing. I mean,
I do see one thing. Uh, it starts with the biggest buzzword in security right now, and that's zero trust.
so it's
Zero trust.
updated.
Everything is about zero trust, right? Today,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting looking at what they coin as zero trust.
Well, good. So, it shows that it is current.
Well, I mean, it
Some of the
definitely
things, some
has that buzzword. We need to see
yeah,
what they. Yeah. how they flesh it out. This is all. This all started about what, a month ago, where there were a lot of news articles about a
Russia.
White House press release mandating all government agencies to enforce zero trust architectures, right?
To fortify
That's,
the network to
yeah,
make sure. Yeah.
yeah. That's how everything started. So this is probably a result of that mandate. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. And that's also interesting here. Checkpoint Research, a company that provides leading cyber threat intelligence, has discovered malware permeating the Microsoft Store. The malware is being delivered via malicious clones of popular apps, mostly games, and has already been known to have infected more than 5,000 machines. The malware, dubbed Electron Bot, is a backdoor that provides the attacker with complete control over compromised machines. And they found their way into the Microsoft Store. So they know that 5,000 machines have been infected. That means that you can double it easily.
Well, not necessarily.
Well,
It really depends on the spread, right? I don't know. But it does mean that there were 5,000 downloads of it from the store, which is really unfortunate, not really surprising. I mean, every time I'm looking at the store to see what are the options there, and I'm searching. So I like the idea of the store. Okay, the idea of the store is, I mean, it what made Apple, right, to what they are today, by the fact that they
yeah, the apps.
provided a smart device with an app store, right? So it's definitely a good thing. A good thing to have a centralized location repository of software and having some sort of backing of, the OS producer saying these are supposed to be safe.
Right.
And as long as you install only from here, they're supposed to be safe. The real problem is because Microsoft are so late into the game. I mean, uh, um, Linux distributions have been using some sort of network delivery of software, network repositories for such a long time. And in the Windows world, there were only third-party solutions like that, like Chocolately and Microsoft own Nugget, which was focused on software development. Um, and the store is just this really, really, really late addition. Now, one part of the store, and that is the business part of the store, is about bringing money to the company.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part is supposed to be about trust, about user trust. I don't think Microsoft has ever gained user trust. And here are my points. None of the Microsoft software suites can be downloaded from the store. You can't download Office from the store.
No.
You can't
Right.
pay for Office on the store, right? So if your own company doesn't trust this platform, if you're not making the shift and say from now on, everything I'm going to sell is going to be on that store, right? How do you expect others to do that? And whenever I go to the store and I do a search for a piece of software, I say, okay, if it's on the store, I'll install it from the store. It'll be a lot easier to manage, auto updates and all of that. And not only the software isn't there, but using the same names or very similar names, you see a bunch of literally crap, right? That somebody is trying to ride on the fact that the actual software isn't there, and they want to con you into getting their piece of software. And most of them are not free, right? So it's all about, making a quick buck instead of. So the vetting process, which needs to be rigorous, right, on a new store like this, isn't. So it's saddening, but it's not too surprising that this has been the case. And yeah, they
I
need
mean,
to
all
clean their
the
act.
all the app stores, Google, the Apple, they had malware. I mean, they found malware in there.
Yeah,
It's we need to remember
but
that
when you
it's
do it after you have 10 million apps, and one or two malwares they slip through, and that has been fixed really quickly, right?
Mhm.
You already had the trust of the people, and now of your users, and there were a few slips, but those users, not all of them are going to disappear, only a very handful. If nobody's using the store, right, and now you hear that the store has malware in it, why would I want to
Right,
use the store the next time I have an option, right?
right.
So that's the thing. They have not gained trust at all. Their store hasn't been a success at all. And it looks like it won't be if they keep this up.
Well,
So I wouldn't be surprised if I don't know, in a year or two they suddenly say we're doing with the Microsoft Store. Of course they won't, right?
doing away. Yeah.
And they'll rebrand it with something else, right? It'll have a completely new name, and they'll say it's safer and it's better and it works, and we're offering our stuff through it. So I mean, it's definitely, this is the only way I think they'll be able to mitigate these type of uh, fuck ups, basically mess ups.
Yep. Maybe they will after they listen to you here.
Ah, mark my words, you heard it here first.
All right, let's go back to Amazon here. Amazon has spent almost 3 decades perfecting the art of bringing everything imaginable to your doorstep in the shortest amount of time at the lowest possible price. By almost any measure, it's been one of the greatest corporate successes in history. But despite Amazon's unquestioned dominance in e commerce, one giant market has proven particularly vexing: groceries. Amazon has introduced a dizzying array of services: Prime Now, Fresh, Go, and others, in its effort to become a giant in the $750 billion US grocery market. In 2017, it spent $13.7 billion to acquire Whole Foods, a price tag more than 10 times higher than Amazon had paid for any prior deal. Still, it's just a niche player in the industry. As of mid December, Amazon.com and Whole Foods accounted for a combined 2.4% of the grocery market over the past 12 months, while Walmart controlled 18%, according to research from Numerator. Amazon's delivery service have struggled to stand out in a crowded field, while the Go automated convenience stores have been deprioritized, according to people familiar with the company's strategy. Um, I don't know why. I mean, you know, I will. I'd rather go and scratch a back of a bear than to tell Kathy, let's buy something, groceries at Amazon. I don't want anybody to pick up my groceries. I want to go. I want to put my hand on it. I want to see it, and I want to buy it.
Yeah, but that's not what's going on here. Because if you factor Whole Foods, you can still do that.
Right.
It's just they are not successful in growing it.
Well,
That's the thing.
Whole Foods, the problem with Whole Foods is Whole Foods was always the most expensive grocery store. And a lot of people, I
Yeah,
mean,
that never stopped anything from, I mean, that didn't stop their success though.
no,
So if Amazon puts their hands on Whole Foods and Whole Foods isn't growing, then there's a problem. That's the
they're
thing.
absolutely.
Yeah. So,
I don't know.
and yeah, but I'm no business expert, so I really don't know uh, how to look at it, and I can't even point on where the problems are. It has changed a lot in the way Amazon does business, right? These brick and mortar locations, Whole Foods, I mean, their cooperation with Kohl's, right, where you can use these locations to come and actually bring your returns
Right.
there. I mean, it has changed the way, it has made them a lot more visible, right, to the non-digital users. But they're always going to be that digital reseller. When you're looking at Walmart, I wonder how much of Walmart business is online, and within the Walmart business, how much of that is groceries, right? Which I would venture and say very little is the groceries, but I don't know. We
Well,
need to
no,
see the
they said
numbers
that
really.
Walmart controlled 18% of the groceries
Yeah,
market.
groceries in general.
Yeah,
not just online.
that's correct. Oh,
Right.
yeah,
And
that's
they
right.
were there before, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and true. But that's the thing is Walmart is drawing in segment of society that doesn't have extra money to spend. They can buy the orange and it's going to cost 50 cents instead of going and buying it at Whole Foods and pay $1.50, which makes absolute sense.
Yeah, but when you're comparing that orange, right? When you're looking at what, it's not about comparing the orange in Walmart to comparing the orange in Whole Foods. It's about comparing the Whole Foods, right, to those that are similar to Whole Foods. And that audience doesn't seem to be wanting to do the online shopping there either. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The trouble with the news article is it doesn't focus on the online grocery business, right? It has this bombastic comparison of numbers, but they are irrelevant in the comparison. Walmart was already master of the domain in groceries and commerce way before Amazon decided to go brick and mortar, right? The same way Walmart was very, very niche in the online market, right? When they decided to go to the online markets. So Amazon was already king there. So it's the real question is Amazon growing their business or is it stagnating? And that, and I'm not, and I don't think they're competing with Walmart on the same audience, right? But they are competing in the way they do it. And I'm not sure that they have found the formula. It definitely has nothing to do with brick and mortar. It's something else. And there's one misconception there, right? The article talks about Amazon being focused on bringing you the fastest, everything the fastest and the cheapest.
Yeah.
And we all know, right, that if it's fastest, it's not cheapest.
Right.
I mean, even in Amazon, right?
Right.
or it can be the cheapest, but it won't be the fastest. So they already know that that concession needs to be made. Otherwise, and they're still successful, right? I'm not saying in any way that they're not successful, but those are definitely not their goal. They are really focused on customer satisfaction, right? But they understand that it won't be for the cheapest price. That's not what they've been competing on. They want the most reasonable price, maybe, but not the cheapest. And so it's not always the same, right? If you
Right.
want it in 2 days or less, then you know that you're going to pay a certain premium for it, and you're still going to get it, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think any other. I don't think Walmart is succeeding the way Amazon has with Prime. I don't think Walmart is
No.
succeeding with their shopping subscription the same way. I'm sure they are. I mean, it's growing probably, but I doubt it's a success like Amazon Prime, right? So I don't know.
Yep.
Mhm.
Something else to keep an eye on.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Facebook. Facebook attempted a return to its roots as a college-focused social network with the fall 2020 launch of Campus, a private section within Facebook that was only open to those with an @edu email address. However, the initiative didn't succeed, as Facebook is now alerting users that Campus will fully shut down on March 10th. It says through an app message, Facebook is informing users that its Campus pilot will close down and that Campus profiles, groups, posts, and other data will be deleted. Ahead of its shutdown, users will be able to view their data and download, which is nice.
No,
And
it's not nice anymore. It's by law.
okay,
So I mean, there are so many laws in so many locations that if they don't have that function, they are
yeah, they're gonna
yeah
provide you with an
they're going to be
export.
fined anyway. So yeah.
And they say, since we launched the campus pilot, it's been our mission to help bring college communities closer together. But we've learned that the best way to support students is through Facebook group. Facebook started just for college, for students. That's
Yeah.
yeah. That
If there's one thing that social networks taught us, right,
is
is that the most important asset, and I'm not talking about the company, I'm talking about the end user. The most important asset of a social network is the network itself, is the people who are interconnected within it, the audience that is using it. And you cannot in any way recreate a replica of that network
mhm,
by changing technology. That never happens, right? The only successful attempt was one time, and it was Facebook, right? And it started from a very small niche group of people who started using something that didn't exist before,
right.
right? Not really, right? It was very unique in the way it did it, and 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 back then, um, what was really, really, really unique about Facebook compared to any other website or forum or any other place online that you were interconnected is that people actually put their identity on public, right? They they expose themselves completely, which was averse to any other online presence. Usually, any other online presence, you are encouraged to get a username. You were told
Mhm.
mostly on those pages, don't use your real name, right? There's no reason to be exposing yourself
Right.
in such a way. And Facebook was the only one where, although it started by college kids, right? The users, when it blew up, it was all about exposing yourself to a public audience. And so you would get your grandma in, and you will take your family in, and your friends, and you'll have a place where you can talk with all of them, and they all know you, and they see your face, and they know it's you. But since then, right, this hasn't been replicated in any way. And not only hasn't it replicated, when we talk about Facebook, we usually talk about it about a diminishing thing, right? This was an experiment that blew up, blew out of proportion, but people are now, they're holding their heads and say, what have we done? Those who are realizing how they've exposed themselves. I mean, I know I'm one of them, right?
Yeah.
I'm
We
not
all
talking
are.
about others. I'm talking about myself here, right? And so, and in any other network, whether it's just a communication network like Signal or WhatsApp, it's all about who you're having the conversation, but it's less about sticking your face in public. And the fact that they tried creating another network, right, like is ridiculous. They should have already known that this won't work again.
Yeah, I
So
mean, they thought that they could give the students something. I mean, they're always going for the younger because they figured these
yeah, they
people are.
lost the younger generation.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely.
That's the funny thing.
Yeah.
But they won't get them back. Not by being Facebook.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey,
And I think
Spence.
we have a visitor.
Hey, good morning. I'm sorry if there's noise. Is it noisy?
Oh,
Where are you?
Oh, good, because I'm in the dining room here at the hotel.
Oh,
Just opened at 6:30. So,
there's some clanking. Yeah, we hear some background
yeah,
noise.
let
It's
me
okay.
move out into the lobby. It's just going to get real
What-
busy. It's got
what time is it there now?
teams and 6:30.
Wow.
I guess hockey teams and
Our correspondent
team.
from Alaska.
that's right. Giving you the inside scoop. I'm going to go home.
All right, the noise is no longer there.
I'm going to find a place where I can sit. But it's not there.
Oh no, it's still there.
Yeah, it's still there. But there's a it's a big hotel. It's the biggest hotel in the interior of Alaska. It's the Westmont. It's got a big convention center.
That's a big
I can actually-
dining
Here we
room.
go. Perfect. Here we go.
Are you on their Wi-Fi or are you on data?
On their Wi-Fi?
Yeah,
I
it's
do-
pretty
I do
quiet
have
now.
I have a VPN on everything.
Hmm.
My
So-
iPad, my phone, and my laptop.
How long have you been listening?
Half an hour.
Oh.
Yeah, I woke up about 5:30 local time, and I came downstairs and nothing was open, so I could not function without having some coffee in my system. I arrived Saturday morning at 1:40 local
Wow.
in the morning, but it was well, I slept a few hours and then I slept again. It's just it's going to take me a day to get sorted out.
Well, I'd like
But
to
it's,
see that you made it and everything is fine.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was long, but I didn't have any terrible long layovers.
So did you log on to your student account on Facebook?
Student account?
Yeah.
Campus account.
The campus account.
Campus
They're
account.
shutting down
Why?
campus.
Really? Oh, that was a thing?
Apparently.
Yep.
Oh boy.
So the 3 users who are using campus, they got the message.
Have they filed a formal complaint?
Yeah.
Amazing.
I mean, it's a bit like remember when Google announced that they're shutting down what was it called? Plus? Google Plus?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it
All
was
6 people didn't like it.
yeah, exactly. At that time, it was who cares?
Yeah. It was already dead.
Everybody
for a
gave
long
up
time.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it hurts like a very small group of people, but that group of people can easily, you know, self-host a forum site somewhere and pick up where they left if they want. But yeah, so strange.
So what's the temperature there now? Vince?
About 4 degrees.
Four?
It's going to be 4. Yeah. It's not going to go above freezing for at least the next 2 weeks. So probably 20s during the day, and as low as a couple of nights where it was going to be forecast to be -2.
Well,
But
maybe we
I
need to
went-
go. We need to go outside and blow in your direction.
I went for a walk yesterday, and it was overcast, but it was probably about 14 degrees.
Oh.
And I was dressed for it. I was comfortable. I walked over to a little grocery store. And,
So what?
it was actually quite
Shorts,
nice.
sandals, and a sweatshirt?
You would not believe, Gal, people getting on the flight to here in Seattle with shorts on. And I'm like, you do realize where you're going, right?
What?
You know, unless they were locals and they just were going to change their clothes when they got to the airport. I don't know. Maybe they're coming from Florida. I don't know.
Mm.
It's
Anyway,
about over 2 feet of undisturbed snow on the ground, which is unusual over here. They usually don't get. It's pretty dry here. They only get about 14 inches of total rainfall all year. So out of that, so far they've got 90 inches of snow.
so I gather you never went to look at your car.
I had somebody come up to me who knew about it, who said, "Oh, you want me to help you dig your car out?" I said, "If you can help me find it, we can go get it." But we can't even get to it. I need snowshoes to get back to it. So it's on one of our transportation manager's property. She stores cars for a couple of us, and it's in the very far back. Did you see I sent you the picture, right?
Yeah.
I didn't send you the picture. Oh,
Yeah, I
You sent
saw
it.
it.
You sent a picture.
I
Yeah.
did, with an arrow pointing to where the car was. The pile of snow.
No. No, so I didn't
Yeah.
see that one.
No, if I was intelligent enough right now, I could pull it up and show you. It's like you see this really dark picture about maybe 100 yards back in this person's yard. Behind a swing set is a mound of snow.
Yeah.
And he said, that's where your car is. Yeah.
You ready for
It's-
specials?
I actually sat down this morning and I started to put,
Oh, come on.
I did an ad together for dog sleds. I found a website that sells dog sleds. I was going to put something, but I just was so groggy. I had no coffee. I said, I can't get this to work. I almost did it.
There are no stores that sell ice.
Ice? I think you could buy bagged ice. You don't think you want to take ice off the ground.
No. The real question is: does Amazon supply ice in less than 2 hours?
If you go to their retail store, they have blocks of ice out front. I don't know that they have a retail. There's no retail store in Fairbanks. I can tell you that. And I don't know if they have them. Anchorage would be the only other place if they have. So they do. You do get Prime here. It's just the Prime is 4 days, 5 days.
Spence, in all these different times that you've been up there, did you ever go to look at any kind of a data center?
What do you mean by data center?
You know, any place where they have racks and equipment and things like that. I'm wondering, do they?
Yeah, at the place I work, they had a whole IT room, and I met the guy who
Okay, so
maintains it.
do they have an air conditioner to cool it, or they just have a duct coming from outside?
No, is there? It's up to 80 degrees here in the summer, so it's warm inside. I mean, you still have to heat and cool the way you would anywhere else. Yeah, your ambient temperature outside might be different, so the air handlers may not be gigantic ones like you need in North Carolina. But yeah, you still have to cool it off. I mean, when I first year I came up here, I was ragging on the guy because they had a Cisco phone system.
No.
So, but yeah, it's the hotel has the best Wi-Fi yet of any year I've been here. It's always been. I used to come over here to use it. I lived in a rooming house right behind the property here, and I'd come over to use the Wi-Fi here, and I had to go off an isolated part of the building, and maybe I had 2 or 3 meg download speeds. I checked last night, and I had 65 down in the
Wow.
hotel. So, and up it was symmetrical, 65 down, 65 up. And I'm running the VPN now with no issues at all. So I noticed, I have to say, I logged in with my iPad, I turned on the VPN, logged in with my iPhone, and I finally got around to setting up my laptop. I opened up the browser. This is before I had even loaded the VPN software. It would not let me the browser would not let me get to that site. It just said site unavailable. So what I did was I set up my hotspot on my phone and connected my laptop to that. It was the only way I could download the VPN software. So whatever network they had going here blocks your ability to get to download NordVPN, which I thought was insidious. You think about it, people come here, they're going to want to use a VPN.
Yeah.
Most people who travel, you couldn't even download. So I got it to work after that, and everything's fine. But there were lots of blocked sites, and it's like
sounds like a DNS. No, literally, sounds like a very old DNS the record that hasn't been updated or something like that. Doesn't sound like sinister in any way. Yeah,
but it was inconvenient. So most people would just say, "The hell with it, I'll just not use it." But I was determined to use it.
So the streets are obviously clear.
No, not really. There's a coating. It's rutted, so you have tire ruts. But part of the issue they had was about a month and a half ago, when they had the heaviest snow. They had a day of frozen rain, and that coated everything that was on the ground with ice. So now that ice is under the snow. So they have plows here, and they have the plowing, but there's no salt. You can't salt the roads; it's too cold. So I went out for the walk yesterday, and the places, the sidewalks are not shoveled. The roads are scraped, but any parking lot is just filled with snow.
But the bus is still running.
Oh yeah. I mean, they came and picked me up in one of the larger passenger vans at the airport, and they had no trouble driving it. I mean, the main drag in town, the one that goes through the middle of town, and then the 2 small highways they have on either side, they're generally open, but it's a tire rut. It's not clean. So you have to be careful. Most people still have their studded snow tires on. You're allowed to keep them on until May 1st.
So can you go and stand on the porch outside on your tippy toes? Can you see Ukraine?
Oh yeah, I can see the flashes on the skyline. Yeah.
No.
But people make fun of that. But it's true though. You could. There's 2 islands in the Bering Straits called Diomede. One is owned by Russia, and one is owned by the United States. You can stand on one and wave to somebody on it. It's possible. It's not a lie. It's just they made so much fun of her to say, when she was kidding, to say, yes, you can see Russia from Alaska.
Yeah.
You can. So,
yeah.
I'd go outside with my iPad, but it's cold right now. I was going to show you what the parking lot looks like.
Yeah.
It just he's just worried that the iPad will freeze. That's why.
That's it.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty excited about this year. They've upgraded the technology on the coaches. It has something called Zonar, which is a brand of electronic logbook, and they had them. We had them a couple years before the COVID shutdown. It was good, but they were older, and they were pretty poorly performing tablets that you'd log into the tablet, stick it into a cradle in the coach, and then it would have a map, and you would be able to log in and log out. You could do your pre and post inspection reports all through this tablet. Well, they've upgraded it to a whole new, more advanced system. Plus, they now have total electronic logbooks. They log everything about your day. Before they had this grandfather method. But we're going to go through training with that. We have to be able to have logins now that we go in and edit ourselves. And used to be had to go to a supervisor to get it. So it's great if anybody out there is a commercial driver and knows what a paper logbook is. You would be dancing to know that you don't have to use it anymore. Because you literally have to have a straight edge and draw little boxes up and down on a chart for the day to show where you've been. It was hard.
All right, let me ask you a question. What are you looking at when you're talking to us?
What am I looking at?
Yeah.
I'm looking at my iPad.
But it looks like you're looking way, way over.
Well, the camera is
Yeah, that's the
on
camera,
the
right?
side. Yeah, so now I can change it. So I'm going to be.
So no, but
I'm
when on an iPad, I mean, you're looking at it. It's what is the camera? Do you have it sideways?
I have it sideways
Oh,
because if I turn it up, it will do the narrow picture.
Okay.
And plus the case that I have has a built-in bracket, but the bracket will tilt it back so far I'd have to lean way over the table like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's what it was. I mean, it looked weird. I said, I know he's on an iPad. How it looks like the camera is way on the side. Okay.
Yeah, it's on it's the front.
Right.
It's the front facing camera.
Yeah.
So, or
Nice.
screen facing.
All right. Any other things we want to talk about? I want to talk a little bit about streaming TV. I want Gal to talk about cord cutting.
Do you remember just a quick thing? I was going through cleaning out my bookshelf with technical books that I've had that are very dated. Do you remember a guy we had on the radio show, who had written a book about IPTV? He gave us a book that was like a
long time ago.
Long time ago. This guy was so far ahead. This was back 15 years ago.
Yeah.
More. He was all over. He wrote mystery books too. He wrote a book that he gave us copies of. It was like
I think I still have that thing on the shelf. Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking. I have this thing, and it's still relevant. I mean, the technology, the terms in it. Yeah, it's not up to date, but he was way out there. This is back. I mean, the internet was not capable of supporting the kind of things that he was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Having just IPTV.
Yeah. And apparently that's different than just streaming, right, Gal?
I mean, it's
less overhead.
IPTV is very similar in concept to what you're doing with the live TV,
the home run.
It's a bit like what's happening on the live TV section by Plex. Okay, but specifically today, IPTV is just encapsulation streaming protocol that engulfs live video streams in them. RTSP, you probably know that from security cameras.
Yeah.
They use that, so that is part of IPTV. All of these, it's just another standard today. So, but at the beginning, it was like saying voice over IP, right? VoIP. It's not a specific. At the beginning, it was just a term for streaming video live.
Wait a second. Spence, put your finger on the mic.
On the microphone? Hold
Yeah.
on, I gotta figure out where it is.
Oh, you don't know where it is.
Yeah, I think it's
No,
on
you're
the,
probably using your earplugs microphone.
no, I got it. Is that covered now?
Yeah.
You hear it? It's covered now, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
was
We
covered
don't. I mean, we hear you though.
Yeah.
So
well, I
it's
can
not
put it
covered.
because there just happened to be people walking by talking.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Gal.
Just IPTV 15 years ago was just the concept of TV over IP, right? Since then, there has been a protocol. I mean, if you run Kodi, for example, then there. It's a suite of protocols that you can receive TV through that. But basically, those are just video streams in different protocols, and IPTV is just an encapsulation to describe those protocols.
All right.
Back then, it was like he provided a list of essentially just IP addresses you could go to, and the content was so raw. I mean, there was
some of these still exist. Yeah.
But it was very interesting because you have a university might have a server with a lecture on it, and then you might have somebody with their own video that they shot as a photographer would have their stuff online. And it was just, you hope it's there, you have to have the address, there's no directory, and it was just go find it.
Yeah, in that term, not a lot has changed.
But it's still relevant.
Yeah. Still relevant. It's just there hasn't been, when it comes to a directory of, one of the problems of IPTV, right, is unless you're doing subscription, anyone from anywhere can access.
Right.
And when you're talking about infrastructure, when you have a broadcast tower, it has a range. It doesn't matter how many clients, endpoints are receiving that, but the range is the limiter. And it doesn't matter if you have five endpoints or 500 endpoints. As long as the broadcast signal will get to you, you'll get the content. With IPTV, the more clients you have, right, the more bandwidth is consumed. Now, there are different multiplexing solutions, and when you're talking about a local area network, you can do broadcasting and multicasting very efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're talking about internet, doing multicasting, that's multicasting and internet is not a good match, right? It's not practical.
There's no point to multi-point built into the internet. Yeah,
exactly. It's not practical. So that's why most of the TV streams, most of the video streams we are consuming today, they're TCP based and not UDP based, right? There's this excess of bandwidth, so you get the correct stream. So IPTV has become the standard that you have for webcams and for stuff that are in your local network, not so much in the web. And for web, you have other solutions, but then you are limited by the bandwidth. The most interesting aspect of IPTV today are a few peer-to-peer protocols where, like BitTorrent, right? But for streaming, that the more consumers you have, the better bandwidth you have. But none of them have been picked up by major corporations, major broadcasters. So nothing is really happening.
Major infrastructure makers either, as far as having that kind of a switched architecture. One of the last products I worked on when I worked for Avaya was Radware, the company. It was an Israeli video conferencing company that they bought, and part of that, the intranet had a whole series of point to multi-point servers. So you could send a single stream like to Europe and then distribute it out to 40 endpoints and save on that. The same technology that they use for when IP telephony had become popular for corporations to use as a backbone. You would place the call from New York to London. You didn't have to find an individual channel. You just hopped on a broad channel that went and formed. Basically, the two endpoints communicated with each other and then handled the call. So it was great technology, but it's not widely adopted in the internet.
Right.
Oh, just talking about this stuff reminds me of hours and hours and hours of classes I went to and learned how to configure this stuff, because if it didn't work right, it didn't work. I mean, if it was wonky, people just threw it out. I'm not gonna do this.
Right.
No.
Yep.
Like today in DNS.
Let's go back to just everybody has a telephone book with IP addresses in it. You just dial people out.
Yeah, Trumpet. Need to configure Trumpet TCP IP stack. It's a ridiculous time compared to today. Yeah.
So, guys, the buffet is complimentary this morning. If you want to try to make
what?
Do they have
the buffet?
Do they serve moose meat?
You can get. Yes, you can get moose.
Burger.
What was it? Not burgers. It was something else. Moose sausages or something like that. I don't remember if they have it now, but I remember the restaurant actually having something like, or it was, and maybe it was elk. The problem with gaming laws is that you can't sell game meat.
Oh.
It has to be farm raised in order, so you can give it to people. But yeah, there was something. Maybe it was reindeer. It was reindeer meat. I think which is a caribou, domesticated caribou. So
no,
I think it was a sausage.
All the kids, cover your ears.
Yep. You go out to the reindeer farm and you say, "I'll take that one."
Yeah.
But reindeer were introduced into Alaska as a way of stopping starvation. It was happening at one point back in the late 1800s, early 1900s. They imported them from Siberia and Lapland. They weren't native to it. So they brought them over to create basically a herd that they could harvest.
Yeah. That would work.
I remember, you remember Northern Exposure?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
The moose that would walk into the bar.
Yeah. So they had an episode late in the fifth or fourth season or something like that, where Fleischman, the doctor, he stumbles upon thawed carcass of a mammoth, and he's trying to alert everyone about his findings and everything, only to find that some local hunter, he just carved it up and he packaged the meat, and it's his supplies for the winter. So it's like
that moose story from that TV show is actually based on fact. There are places that had resident moose that were allowed to come into the bar, and some places they had ordinances against it. But one in particular, I don't remember what town it was, had a special dispensation for that particular moose to come into the bar. That show is based on a town called Talkeetna, which is a funky little town that the producers came and analyzed it as part of their inspiration for the show. I remember speaking to one of the people that ran a gift shop there. Said, well, when the Hollywood people came here, they were interviewing us and talking to us about what life here was like. It's a small town. It gets busy in the summer. But the small town, what's it like here? You know, he said, where do you live during the winter? And the person said, what are you talking about? Well, where do you go in the winter? He says, I live here. You live here? These people couldn't believe that they actually spent the winter there. And it was funny because they said the people from Hollywood are like, just did, and they didn't tell them why they were there at first. They didn't know. But they found out when the show was announced that town was inspiration.
Yep. Oh. All right. It's that time of day.
What are you talking about? It's only 7 o'clock. Plenty of time. I'm just getting up if I was home.
So what are your plans for the day?
I don't have anything official till tomorrow. So today I'm actually working on, we're coming up 2 weeks early in the summertime, Pam and I with another couple on a cruise. And then we'll have a week in Alaska before I have to start work. So I'm figuring out what we're going to do that week we're here. I already rented a car through Costco. And guess how much it costs for a 10-day rental of an SUV in Alaska?
I don't know, 500?
Hey, good morning, guys.
500.
Hey, Gene.
3?
Hello. Yeah.
Hello, Gene.
What's up?
Spence.
Hello.
I got a funny story about the first time I went to Alaska to go fishing. And the first night we were there, we went out, and I had in my mind, I'm going to get some salmon. You know, it's a nice salmon. You're going to Alaska, you can get some nice salmon. So we go to this restaurant, and I'm looking at the menu, and I'm looking at the entrees, and there's haddock on there, 2 or 3 different kinds, but no salmon. So I called the waitress over, and I said, don't you have any entrees with salmon? And she looks at me, and she says, sir, we ship our salmon, and we eat our haddock. I said, okay. That was really funny.
You're right, though, Gene. It's not that popular on the menu, but people will go fishing. They'll stock up for the season. They'll freeze a bunch of stuff, and they'll have enough to last themselves.
Yeah.
Salmon in a restaurant usually is very expensive.
And then you talk about moose. We were in a cabin on the right on the river, Kenai, and there was a series of cabins, and there was a main house, and that overlooked the creek. There was a long driveway from the main road in with all these fruit trees, and my son and I were sitting on the porch of this cabin that we had, and here comes a moose, and he's eating I don't know, it was apples or what, but anyhow, he's eating off the trees. And I said to my son, go down the office and tell him there's a moose out here eating on the trees. So he goes down there and he talks to him. He comes back. I says, what happened? He says, well, he said, that's our pet moose. He's there just for you tourists. Interesting place you're at. Okay, guys.
A couple years ago.
I'm done with my stories.
All right, Gene.
Take it easy, Gene.
Right.
One last quick moose story. One year I was part of the tour I was on. We overnight in Anchorage, and we stay at a motel right by the airport. And we're driving over to the motel, and the turn onto the street where the motel is, and the traffic stopped. And we're waiting. What's going on? There's a bunch of cars backed up. Finally, it starts to move again. There's 2 young male mooses just walking down the middle of the street. And I have it on video somewhere, but it turns out as I was videoing it, I catch in the background this apartment complex and a sign. So my nephew from Maine says to me, "Oh yeah, there's moose all behind there. I lived there for a year in that apartment complex." But they're right there. They're fringe animals when it comes. If the conditions are right for them, they'll come into town if it's cold and eat. And they're typically not aggressive unless you get between them and their babies.
Hmm.
But you don't want to mess with them. They can be aggressive depending on the season, whether they're cornered or not.
All right.
All right.
Anything else? Nope. Gal?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks, Gal. And Spence, thanks for popping in.
Good to talk to you guys.
It was fun. And good morning, Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie and Dana, Dina, Arlette and Micha, Eleanor, Sarid. Thanks, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing, back up your hard drive, and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And again, remember, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. Nick is on Wilmington's 980 The Wave and 107.9 FM. And you can listen to him anywhere in the world through your Echo device. Just say, play 980 The Wave. And you can go and listen to a recording of his show on nickcraig.com. And Tuesdays at 7 p.m., Nick and Brian together do the Infection Podcast on Twitch. So 7 p.m., twitch.tv/Infection Podcast for survival games and gaming news. See you next week.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.